This changes everything for the Bills. They've had an incredible start to the season, but that momentum won't mean much if they go into the Saints game thinking it'll be easy. New Orleans is a very physical team, and if the Bills don't lock in on stopping the run, especially Alvin Kamara, this matchup could get ugly fast. This is the kind of game that will test the Bills' defense and show if they're really built to contend. My name is Maeve Miller, and I'm a part of the Bills Digest team. Please subscribe to our Bills Digest YouTube channel for all latest updates during the season. First, I want to get into the Bills' 3-0 start because obviously it's been very exciting for them. This is the fourth time they've gone 3-0 since 2017, which just shows how good they've been, especially in that McDermott era. The last couple games, the Ravens game was obviously very tough, but such an exciting game, still one of the best games of the season. And, the Bills really like to fight for those wins. And then the next game was, against the Jets, a lot easier. Everyone could just kind of breathe. As a fan, it was nice to watch, Allen not having to do every little thing because in that Ravens game, he really put on that superhero cape. So that was a good divisional win. The Dolphins game last week, I thought, was a little bit closer than it should have been. It was 31-21, and throughout the game, it was kind of neck and neck. The Bills' defense didn't seem like it was playing as well, and the offense also had a couple struggles, but all in all, they got that win against a division rival, so it was very exciting. And Buffalo has had now 13 consecutive regular season wins, which I think is obviously due to the fans. The fans just travel and bring all that energy. This is them in Miami, and it doesn't matter where it is, whether it's Los Angeles, Buffalo, Miami, Arizona. The Bills fans travel and they show up, and they make even away games feel like a home game. So I think that they need to get their flowers for that because Bills fans definitely change the energy of a game. And if the Bills, they're at 13 straight regular season wins, and if they get two more, they tie the franchise record for most consecutive home wins, which was previously set in the 1990 season. Obviously, the offense has been great. They've had 30-plus points each game, and just a good distribution of plays. Like I said, maybe in the first game, Allen really did most of the stuff, a lot of running. But I feel like now they've been able to diversify that and distribute to a lot of different players. James Cook has been great on the run. Even backups Ray Davis and Ty Johnson have been good. And other, the passing offense has been great too. Even though Allen has been running it a little bit, he's been able to give it to tight ends. Like Kincaid, Dawson Knox have both been playing well, or other guys like Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Joshua Palmer. So I feel like it's just been a good start. There's nothing too bad to say when you're starting out 3-0. But I will say, at least once a season, the Bills lose a very easy game. And I know, maybe it was last year, 2 years ago, where they lost to Jacksonville as one of the worst teams. And it just, always seems to happen. Even though they play incredible against other teams, they seem to, sink down to worse teams' level. So I'm really hoping that the Saints game will not be that game. I saw a quote that said, don't let this trap you. The spread's already been set for the game, and the Bills are heavily favorited. But they just got to play how we usually do and come out with that win. In any game, there's obviously things that we can improve on, and there's been some things, especially on the defense in the last couple of games, that have not been great. The Saints are 0-3, and, they're not a very strong team compared to some other teams the Bills will be going up against. They had a 31-point loss to the Seahawks, who are even last in their division, so the Saints just haven't been playing well. But you got to note that Alvin Kamara is still a threat. He is such a great player. He's been in the league a lot, and he's just very similar to Derrick Henry, who we saw on the Ravens. And the run game has been something that the Bills have been struggling with. And this quote was from Bills Wire. It said, "The Bills are undoubtedly a better team than the 2025 New Orleans Saints, but they have flaws. Their most notable, perhaps, is one that has haunted them for half a decade," which is very dramatic, but I'll agree with it. The Bills' ability to defend against the run has been sorely lacking. This season, they have allowed the league's worst rate, giving up 6.2 yards per rush attempt to their opponents. This actually surprised me because I know the Bills are not great against the run, but I didn't think they had the worst. And I think definitely that Ravens game with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson just running through them definitely put that up. But even against the Jets and the Dolphins, it still was a little high, and that's something the Bills really, really need to work on. We're going to have to play against better teams like the Ravens maybe in the future that have such a strong run defense, and if we can't stop it, it's going to be a very long season. Another thing, the pass rush also hasn't been as great. I feel like in the Ravens game, there was such a strong start. Joey Bosa was leading the charge in week 1 and week 2, but I feel like against the Dolphins, they were a little quieter on that. So I feel like getting That going again will obviously help. And, run defense, pass rush kind of goes hand in hand. We just need the defense to be working better. I know there's injuries and we're not 100% healthy, so hopefully those things will come with time. But there's another thing. The third down defense has been pretty terrible too. This quote came from Eric Wood, who was a former Bill. He joined the One Bills Live and just kind of shared his thoughts. He said, as the Bills continue to stay disciplined, lean into the run game, throw the bubble screen, all the things they're doing right now, I'd love to see the downfield passing come to fruition. Defensively for the Bills, it's how we continue to tweak our third down defense, set ourselves up for success, to get off the field and to get more 3-and-outs. And I definitely agree with that. The Buffalo just has not been great with that. Against the Ravens, they gave up 7 out of 10 third downs and 10 out of 15 to the 0-3 Miami Dolphins, which is a 60% rate in all, which is just not good at all. And that's another thing that I didn't really notice at the time. Obviously I know when I'm watching that they could improve on that, but seeing those stats is definitely scary because it shows that the defense definitely needs some work. And it's hard with having such a strong offense that we need them to get a little more on the same level. But I think that'll come with time and getting some guys back who are injured. So a lot of preseason injuries are still just having big impacts, but people are kind of making their way back. One of them was Ed Oliver. He is still out. He missed week 2, and in week 3, he still remained on the sideline. And this says Ed Oliver walking around tonight during pregame warmups. He's set to miss a second straight game with an ankle injury. Really hoping that he gets back for this game. Obviously, he's not a super important game, and we'd rather him wait. But if he is healthy, I'd like to see him out there. He just made such a big impact in the Ravens game, and I would say he was one of the best players on that. So having him get hurt immediately after playing such a game is tough. So hoping he gets back out there. Taron Johnson also missed week 2, but he did return in week 3 against the Dolphins, which is good to see because he's a big part of the Bills' secondary. Matt Milano also has a pectoral injury. He's been out for the last couple of weeks, but McDermott said that it won't be a long-lasting injury. However, it's important to note that since 2023, he's missed 25 regular season games, and that's just a crazy stat to me. And it just kind of shows that as much as I love Milano, I think he's a great player and really has done well for the Bills, that maybe his time is ending. He's getting a little bit older, but hopefully he can probably play his final season with the Bills and play well. Players that are on the IR right now are Tyler Bass with that hip and groin problem, and he's eligible to return in week 5. And I'm definitely curious what the Bills will do with him versus Matt Prater. Prater obviously made that game-winning field goal against the Ravens, but I think since then it's been a little bit of a decline. So I'm curious to see if the Bills will stay loyal to Tyler Bass. I assume that they will, but I'm curious to see what you guys think if they'll bring back Tyler Bass. I've always kind of had a little struggle with Tyler Bass because I feel like sometimes he's just not very consistent, and that was definitely seen in preseason training. He was only 50% of making field goals from 40 plus yards, which not great. So I think the Bills will end up bringing him back over Prater, but we'll have to see about that. And another big name on the IR is Maxwell Hairston. He had that right LCL sprain in training camp, and this has been a big loss. I'd say probably the biggest injury for the Bills. He was expected starter, and they had very high hopes of him being the first-round draft pick. And he also has a great infectious energy. He seems I feel once he gets on that field, he's going to be great. But not sure when he'll return. Like Tyler Bass, since he's on the IR, he'll be eligible to return in week 5. But for him, I definitely don't want them to rush, especially for this game when it's more of Saints are more of a run-heavy team. I'd rather him sit out, maybe wait another week. But I just hope he comes back soon. I'm excited to see him play. And I think it's great that Trey White is back because that was definitely tough having White and Harrison out. And he came back against the Jets, and it appears to be 100%. He played in 26 of 47 snaps and had a couple tackles, so he seems to be playing well, and I'm excited for him because he's another one of those guys that put in so much hard work and has just faced so many injuries and so much adversity over the years that I want him to have a great season with the Bills. And, with Harrison out, having him back is at least something, and hopefully when Harrison returns, that maybe him and White can kind of do a little rotational and see what happens starting opposite against Benford. Benford also had a little bit... It looked like an injury against the Dolphins. It was a little scary, but he had just gotten the wind knocked out of him, but he laid down on the ground for a while. And that was definitely, I was watching and I was so nervous because he is a huge part of our secondary, probably the only part of our secondary sometimes, it feels like. But glad to see that he is healthy too. So yeah, Saints are next week, and the Bills there's been a lot of talk about how they have a very easy schedule for the next couple weeks. Saints and then New England, Atlanta, the Panthers. But then obviously early November we play the Chiefs, so that'll be an exciting game. And like I said earlier, the Bills can't count out any of these like easier games because, like I said, they've lost a lot of these easier games, even though they've beaten really good teams. So I just feel like for this upcoming game, need them to stop the run against Kamara. I want to see a big defensive improvement, and on third down, offense just got to play how they usually do. Hopefully Allen can, do a lot of distribution, doesn't have to do everything himself, but we'll definitely see. Thank you for watching. Once again, please subscribe to the Bills Digest YouTube channel, and go Bills.